All right, so we're live on YouTube now, and we're going to be doing nonviolent communication. Um, since we're going to be just reading the book and discussing it, I think it's okay for us to be as open about whatever is going on as we feel comfortable. But I'm going to go ahead and bring up the book, and of course, I have the wrong thing up. All right, is this the one? Too many tabs. All right, there we go. That's got to be it because it's the other only alternative. All right. So we're reading Nonviolent Communication, A Language of Love by Marshall Rosenberg. And uh, I've been really enjoying reading this book again and discussing how we work with it in association with the Course in Miracles. Excuse me. And so, how does the course, coordinate with this? So, we're talking about needs. We spent quite a bit of time talking about feelings. Now we're talking about needs. So, Glorian, do you want to read or you want me to read?
I'll read for a little while then.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, sure. And we're starting.
At
Okay,
the top. Yeah.
okay, great. Thanks. When we express our needs indirectly through the use of evaluations, interpretations, and images, others are likely to hear criticism. And when people hear anything that sounds like criticism, they tend to invest their energy in self-defense or counterattack. If we wish for a compassionate response from others, it is self-defeating to express our needs by interpreting or diagnosing their behavior. Instead, the more directly we can connect our feelings to our needs, the easier it is for others to respond to us compassionately. If we express our needs, we have a better chance of getting them met. Unfortunately, most of us have never been taught to think in terms of needs. We are accustomed to thinking about what's wrong with other people when our needs aren't being met, fulfilled, aren't being fulfilled. Thus, if we want coats to be hung up in the closet, we may characterize our children as lazy for leaving them on the couch, or we may interpret our coworkers as irresponsible when they don't go about their tasks the way we would prefer them to. I was once invited to Southern California to mediate between some landowners and migrant farm workers whose conflicts had grown increasingly hostile and violent. I began the meeting by asking these two questions. What is it that you are each needing? And what would you like to request of the other in relation to these needs? The problem is that these people are racist, shouted a farm worker. The problem is that these people don't respect law and order, shouted a owner even more loudly. As if often the case, these groups were more skilled in analyzing the perceived wrongness of others than in clearly expressing their own needs. In a comparable situation, I once met with a group of Israelis and Palestinians who wanted to establish the mutual trust necessary to bring peace to their homelands. I opened the session with the same questions. What is it you are needing? And what would you like to request from one another in relation to those needs? Instead of directly stating his needs, a Palestinian Mukhtar, who is like a village mayor, answered, "You people are acting like a bunch of Nazis." A statement that, a statement like that is not likely to get the cooperation of a group of Israelis. Almost immediately, an Israeli woman jumped up and countered, Mukhtar, that was a totally insensitive thing for you to say. Should I stop there a second?
Yeah.
So basically, instead of asking for what we want, identifying what our need is and expressing that, there's always blame. It's the first thing to do is to judge and blame and project. And, we can always remedy that by stepping back and asking, what is it that I really am trying to express here? Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. And these situations, I can think of ways that, this happens, you get together to try to work out a situation and you ask, what do you both need? And instead of expressing needs, they start diagnosing each other and expressing their grievances. And so the grievance is obviously there because some need is not being met. But if you're only attacking the result without looking at what is it that what do I really want or what do I really need out of this situation, um, then you're not going to come up with a mutual uh, solution. You're going to be arguing over little fine things that don't really have any meaning. And so, when the farm workers said that the people were racist, that may be so, but that doesn't mean that they shouldn't be taking care of their employees. That doesn't mean that they shouldn't be providing their employees the best whatever it was that they need. And then when the farm owners were saying these people don't respect law and order, um, that's neither here nor there because I don't need you to respect law and order. I need you to come to work and do your job and do a good job, and both of us to end up benefiting and happier at the end. So, making these kind of accusations or diagnosis of the problem is don't like white people, you know. Which I mean, I've been in that situation myself personally, and thinking that it's something that is completely unrelated to the thing that's happening. So, what we really need to do is get to the bottom of what's happening, the actual needs that are not being met. And the actual solution comes in meeting those needs and recognizing that we all have the same need. But if I think that you need something different than I do, and we're not gonna ever come to, you need $18 an hour and I need to only give you 12, that that doesn't solve the problem. Deb, yes, please go ahead.
Well, I was just, still in like the first paragraph that was read about when people hear anything that sounds like criticism, they tend to invest their energy in self-defense or counterattack. And it goes on and it says, our wish for compassionate response from others is self-defeating to express our needs by interpreting or diagnosing their behavior. And that's exactly what I was like. I didn't know what my needs were. I didn't really know what I wanted. I didn't know what my needs were, and I really think I was raised in a household where I wasn't allowed to need. My needs were provided for, and the expectation was be grateful, and that was it. And I learned in therapy and other ways that, and and yet I wouldn't have characterized my upbringing as being particularly harmful or anything, but I started, because of my own unmet needs, started diagnosing and looking for cause and trying to analyze all the time instead of just stating what I really needed and wanted. And you know, from the family in origin, every relationship that I got into after that, I was doing the exact same thing, not being able to articulate it, having never formed those ideas, and then using these manipulative ways to try to get them met. And the other point I wanted to, you know, there's a saying, I'm sure all of you have heard it, that, you know, if a child is raised with criticism, the child doesn't learn to hate the parent, the child learns to hate itself. And I don't, you know, which is part of this big diagnosis thing. But I'm like, I love to think that I may have met my own children's needs, knowing what I wanted by the time I had them, but I know I couldn't have. And always wonder if there's any adult who truly says, I know that all my needs were met and that I was totally loved and cared for. Um, I don't know why I'm compelled to share this. It was a young man from Rwanda was on John Mundy's talk, and he was explaining his life. And in his life, with so much suffering, his family was killed by machetes. Like, it was just absolute horrendous stuff that happened to him by the time he was a teen. And in his mind, the idea that there was love and peace was the illusion, that only the terrible attacks were real, and that love and peace and serenity and God's will was unreal. And what a beautiful blessing to have him in the Course in Miracles group and learning about this course, and that it's possible to flip it and recognize that the war and the terror is the unreal part and the love is the only thing that's real. And I don't know how that all ties in together or why I felt compelled to tell you all of that. But as we learn how to get our needs met, and with that knowledge, I feel we can all be more giving, like what Marshall is um, teaching us in this book, to always be loving, which is also what we're learning in our course. Teach love, only love. Anyway, thanks.
Thank you, Deb. Oh, so much of all that, when you're talking about your family of origin, I think about my family. One of the most common things that was ever said in my family, my household, my sister all the time, what is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? Because yeah, there must be something wrong with you. But the it's interesting that you bring up that young man, and it's interesting that we talk about the past. And I think that for me, what A Course in Miracles has done was brought me to a place where I understood that all of these things that have happened through my life have been a part of the plan to bring me to this remembrance of who I am and what I am. And so, I can look at all the things that happen, throughout my life, and I can let go. I can just forgive every character and every actor, every circumstance, everything that happened. I can look at it and see it from a completely different point of view, where it actually is, that was the perfect thing to happen. That was it was actually meeting the need that I have, which, of course, the need that I have is the need to remember the truth of who I am. And all of these, every step has been bringing me to this. This is the culmination of everything that's ever happened. Everything that's ever happened anywhere is culminating right now in this grand awakening. And it's happening to me, and now I can look and say, all these, whatever it was what I needed at the time. I may not have liked it. I may not have uh, been happy about it. I may have wanted to change it. But I look back now And there is not a thing that I would change because every single thing has brought me to this. And this, what I am, where I am right now, is so much peace that I mean, I can't even, I can't even begin to describe it. Anyway, I see Karen has her hand up, and who else? Let me see. Glorian, go ahead, Karen.
Yeah, thank you, Deb. Thank you, Lynn. I kind of was going to share similar to what you shared. It's all about remembering the truth of what we are and being the presence, not the person, stepping back and seeing the truth in our brother. And what got me was what Deb shared in the beginning. That's what I was still kind of focusing on, where he was saying how we interpret or diagnose their behavior. And what I love about A Course in Miracles is it reminds us it's never about behavior. So it's never about the form. It's always about the content. So remembering that, remembering the truth of what my brothers, especially with my special relationships, like my daughter, who I saw today, and that is my biggest classroom. And I was able to do that. And my mother, I was spent time with her today. I was able to do that. Um, and I wanted to share a something by Krishnamurti that is so perfect for what we're sharing. He says, "Can you listen without interpreting, without your prejudices interfering? Listen as you may listen to the song of a bird." And I just thought that was just exactly what you just said, Lynn, and what I was thinking, that if I just see my brother as perfect and see it as like a song of a bird, like a beautiful song of prayer, praying to the Christ in my brother, seeing the truth in my brother. That's what it's all about. So I just wanted to share that because it really touched me. And so I just loved it. Thanks.
Here I'm talking to my muted. I love that. That song of the bird. So beautiful. Thank you, Karen. Oh my gosh, my heart's just lifted up from hearing that. Glorian, please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks so much for that. Amen. So beautiful. That's it. We're here to be looking for the face of Christ everywhere. I just love that. I'm going to circle back to what Deb was saying when we were talking about blame. And this would come from Sandy, my beautiful teacher, when people would be sitting there saying that it was their parents or it was this. And she'd say, okay, so how many people here it was their parents that they blame and this and that? And how many people actually had good childhoods? And then there'd be a mix. And then she'd say, but everybody's still in the same boat. So the idea is we can't blame our parents. It's the ego. And the only way to remedy that is by taking responsibility that I'm the one listening to that fearful voice of the ego that's telling me that I'm lacking, that belief in scarcity. And that's really what it is. So it's a matter of, not blaming, recognizing that it's not our parents, it's not the teachers, it's not the authority, it's us. By just listening to that fearful voice of the ego instead of aligning our mind with the Christ. Thanks.
Thank you, Glorian. Yeah, that's it. It is exactly us. And I was going to say, Robert has posted another essay in the chat, so downloaded it. It's called which I love this. Our children are carefully taught, from that song from, was it South Pacific? And so McKaylee has her hand up. Please go ahead, McKaylee.
Yes, I love everybody's sharing. And I just want to say that in the Course it says, yet it was never absent from your mind, for it was not your Father's will that he be unremembered by his Son. So that memory is always there. And so it goes in line with what everybody beautiful sharing today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes, it's always been here. And Hey, I haven't seen it, but now I do, and I can't even imagine how I missed it. Thank you, Michaela. Yes. Rafi, please go ahead.
Yeah, my ego actually tried to diminish and discredit all the goodness that I received as a child. It kept telling me that I wasn't loved enough, that I wasn't given enough attention, that I wasn't paid enough attention to, that I wasn't nurtured enough, that I was, and that's all a lie. My childhood was pretty idyllic. But it kept, and when I looked at it and said, okay, everything it tells me is a lie. Let's look at the opposite. And the opposite of everything it told me was true. And that is what I built on. So I just wanted to share that because that thing, we know how insidious it is. So I thank you.
Thank you, Rafi. Yeah, but hey, the ego is a real trickster about telling you about how things were in the past. And man, you can come to believe just about anything. I mean, and that's evidenced in society and culture where, all of a sudden, it'll come up that, oh yeah, people are having uh, uh, memories suddenly come up of having been abused when they were children after they read a book or heard a story about someone else who was abused when they were children. And all of a sudden now I have a new memory, and that new memory has changed my whole outlook on who I thought I was. If I hadn't have seen that segment on Oprah, I would never have known that I had such a miserable time. I mean, really, honestly, the ego can talk us into anything, and it's up to us to choose how is it that I want to see this? That may have been what happened, but I didn't see it that way, and so. Anyway, and just you can think of all the ways that we've been manipulated by the ego to believe something happened that didn't really happen, or that something happened in a way that was different. And I can tell you that from talking to my own siblings, because each of us have a different story of the same thing that happened. Whose fault it was, what happened, who got hurt, all that. And, everybody has a different point of view. So it's not even, you can't even factually say this is what happened, because you can only say it from your own point of view. Anyway, and the ego will convince you that you've been wronged for sure. You've been unfairly treated. Anyway, Glorian, please go ahead, and then Michaela after that.
Yeah, thanks for that, Lynn. That's it. Subjective thinking. Everyone's seeing it from their own false mind that's projecting their own unresolved guilt and fear. So it's the one ego manifesting in different ways, but it's still the ego. I just wanted to read what Elizabeth put here because I really like it. Forgive the first illusion. The parent and child of all relationships is God or the ego, truth or separation, separate self other than, spirit is wholly abstract, indivisible, one being essence of our true one self. So that's it. If we're not in that experience, that means we're just entertaining this, the one ego, it's one ego and one Christ mind. So once we recognize that, it's manifesting in many different ways, we can even be more forgiving towards it because if we see it, we own it in some way. It's the one ego, which we all share. So a call for love is met for love. And thanks for that, Elizabeth.
Thank you, Glorian. I appreciate you reading that. I was going to read that earlier, and I skipped over it. So, anyway, Michaela, please go ahead.
Thank you, Glorian. Thank you, Lynn. Thank you, Rafi and Karen. That's such beautiful sharings. And Ken said that when you'd have totally forgiven somebody from your past, sin, guilt, and then fear in the future. When you've totally forgiven somebody from your past, he says you'll only remember the positive things in that experience. But he does say in his book on time of vast illusion that according to A Course in Miracles, that for some people, because it's a process, it's important for them to go into that and to re-experiencing that, and to, to talk that over, that experience from their childhood, or whatever happened to them. So, it's a process there. So, and I just wanted to read from, if you don't mind, from chapter 17 in the text. This is really beautiful. Can you imagine how beautiful those you forgive will look to you? In no fantasy have you ever seen anything so lovely. Nothing you see here, sleeping or waking, comes near to such loveliness. For you will see the Son of God. You will behold the beauty the Holy Spirit loves to look upon, and which he thanks the Father for. This loveliness is not a fantasy, it is the real world, bright and clean and new, with everything sparkling under the open sun. So I'm picturing this and forgiveness and thinking only positive of those in my past, and the open sun and the beautiful birds singing that Karen brought up, that Krishnamurti mentioned. So it's a beautiful picture for me. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Michaela, and thank you for reading that. That is one of my favorite things in the Course in Miracles, is that whole picture of, can you imagine what those who you have forgiven will look like, the forgiven world. My goodness, can you imagine? Because, and you can't imagine it, because we can only imagine the things that we have an opinion about. But what will happen if you just see everything as being just perfect the way it is, just perfect the way it is. And Elizabeth says, to see the flesh or behold the spirit, the choice is not really a choice. It is whether to see or not. There is nothing else there. So yes, either I choose to see, or I choose to see the barrier, the block, the flesh that's between me and the knowing of love, the Christ in my brother. So thank you. Beautiful sharing. Brooklyn, yes, please go ahead.
Namaste, mighty companions. Wow, I love this conversation. Thank you all. Beautiful. And Michaela, thank you for reading that. What comes to mind is, with forgiveness, only the love is saved for us. That I wish I could remember it, what Jesus says, only the love is saved for us. That sing, it and the thing is, it's true. If I used to think that I had a very challenging, past, and then I see, everybody did. It depends how you look at it, how we look at it. And thank God I'm able to look at it with my right mind. And like Lynn said, everything that happened led me to where I am now, where I'm very grateful for. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Brooklyn. And yeah, actually, Jesus says a few places in the Course exactly what you were just saying, that the only thing that is going to be left when we've exactly, and here Karen has posted it, all your past except its beauty is gone, and nothing is left but a blessing. That's from text chapter 5. Early on in the text, Jesus is telling us, and he also tells us that he has cleaned everything up. When we practice forgiveness, all of the accusation of guilt is completely cleaned up, and all that's left is the love. And that's why we don't have to worry about, oh, what's going to happen, when I pass away or whatever. The only thing that's going to be remembered here in this world is the love that you were. That's the only thing that actually exists. All the rest of it is a story. So, and it's a story of guilt. Getting past that whole guilt story is so essential. And Elizabeth says, and the source itself, within which Christ abides, a great infinite being of light, sole creator of life. Love is its nature and power. And that's the only thing that's real. Love is the only thing that's real. And there's Ed. Hey, sweetie. Please go ahead.
Thank you. What a gift. You guys were on. I was like, oh wow, live streaming. So here I am. But and then you popped in and you said, oh, it's just a story of guilt. But that's the unforgiven dream, right? So we can live in the forgiven dream, which is my only function is forgiveness of the light of the world. So if I'm just being the light of the world and just allowing joy to come up and trusting that um, trusting my brothers and I are one. So no matter what comes at me, um, I can just overlook it. I can just see past it. So I won't necessarily see what's not there. Does that make sense? And I can live in a forgiven dream. I don't want to do any spiritual bypassing. So that's kind of what's coming up.
Yeah. Yeah, and it is not spiritual bypassing if you don't bypass. Bypassing basically means you don't stop to look, you just go, you take the bypass
Mm,
and you pass
okay.
it down and you don't see what's going on there. But if you actually stop and look at what's going on, then and decide actively, is this what I really want to see? Is this real or is it a fantasy? And when you recognize, oh, it's a fantasy, then it's no bypass to say, I ain't going to hang out here, because why would you hang out there when it is not real? So yeah, you can't, it doesn't have anything to do with bypassing if you actually do the work while you're here. Rafi, yes, please go ahead.
An incident happened when I was about 10 years old. We were in the playground playing. There was a bunch of us guys. And I thought of something the night before about something, and it required me to punch somebody in the arm. I wasn't being angry. I wasn't mad at anybody. I just picked one guy and I punched him in the arm. Well, my ego from that point on told me that I did something so terrible. It was like I destroyed a country of holy people. Like it was the start of World War III. What actually happened was right after they looked at me and said, what the hell, are you crazy? Stop that. We shook it off and we just went on playing. But ego tried to make a monstrosity out of it. And that's a perfect example of what we're talking about. Yeah. And there's an incident that proves it. Thank
Yeah,
you.
isn't that funny? Yeah, yeah. What I think happened is not what you think happened. That's what we have to understand. Oh my gosh. It's just so hilarious when you look at it through the eyes of forgiveness and recognize that these are all just the stories we're making up about things. Brooklyn, yeah, please go ahead.
Wow, talk about I always second guess. I'm gonna put it past myself. And finally, you're an idiot, blah, 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 and finally, I learned to accept myself. If I act a little stupid, well, okay. I went to PT today and I had my t-shirt on backwards, on inside out. And there was one who said, "Oh, you got your t-shirt on inside out." I says, "Oh well," "Oh well." I ourselves are the hardest to forgive. And thank God, I'm gonna let myself be a little bit, flaky or dizzy or whatever I think of myself, I also have other qualities besides flaky and dizzy. So thank you.
Well, and there's nothing wrong with being flaky and dizzy. Who isn't? I mean, if you're not a little bit flaky and a little bit dizzy in this world, then I think maybe you're fooling yourself. Just a
Oh,
thought. Anyway, I see Elizabeth has her hand up, and then Karen. Go ahead, Elizabeth.
I I pulled this up on my phone. It's something, one of the later parts in the course. It's a direct quote. I'd like to share to really bring this to a focus at the moment, especially in light of the last 3 lessons we've been reviewing. I will there be light. The light has come. There is no will but God's. And we have the one coming up, I'm under no laws but God's, which is so to the point. Every time I reread that, it's just like, hello, I mean, beam me up, Scotty. And this gets further on about why the mind cherishes sin, and we're suffering. It made all these bodies, all these personalities, and it loves to look and talk at itself. But it wants us to remember that little spark is all it takes for a nod. It will take the step. But this is something I look at every night. And again, the languaging, remember, of the course was gender specific, whereas the source is neither a male or female, although the male principle initiates, like the will, what creation is born into, and the female is like what receives it. That's what I was getting, like in what the ego tries to extract. But this is what it is. Father, my holiness is not of me. It is far beyond my own ability to understand or know. Yet God, my Father, source of life, of love itself, acknowledges my holiness as its own. Our will, as one together, understands it and knows that this is so. Father, my holiness is not of me. It is not mine to suffer from attack, nor destroyed by sin. Illusions can obscure it, but cannot dim its light, nor put out its radiance. It stands forever perfect and wholly untouched. In it are all things healed, for they remain as you created them. And I can know my holiness, for holiness itself created me, and all that is. And I can know my source, because it is your will that you be known. And it is so.
Amen. Thank you, Elizabeth.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Where was that from again? What chapter?
It's right now I sometimes text myself reminders in my chat, and it's towards the end. If I find it while we're on, I'll let you
Okay.
know. But it's because there's a very important, and this comes to me over, and when I pray this, it gets introduced around number 38 lesson, and especially towards the end, it emphasizes this about the Lord of sinlessness. The holiness is the answer, the power of holiness. It's not our power, but ours to recognize it. It's some part of our mind. And it says, there is nothing my holiness cannot do. And it speaks about only God's plan for salvation will work. And it's about the power of that holiness. And because this is so about it not wanting it. And so every now and then, when I just feel that, the other night, I felt something without trying to do anything to it. It said, just acknowledge it. Just give it your wink, letting you know, I acknowledge you. I need your help. And so I just felt that was, especially we're talking about the nonviolent and everything. It says, it's already got this all solved. So let's, kind of like there, it just felt very guided to look that up. It is in the later workbook lessons, that one, I mean, very towards the end, because that's when it also specifically speaks about light is crucial, not just a light of awareness. And it speaks about the great rays. in one of the, forgive me, when we see something in front of us, it says it doesn't even have to be a person. It says the Holy Spirit is seeing what's there. And when you're ready, we'll release, quote, we say eyes, but it's not physical eyes, to see the great rays that are shining behind every appearance. And they are not visible in this consciousness, because this was made to darken it. And it's terrified of that, because in that it just disappears. But it will happen because it just did. And then also a later workbook lesson talks about reaching for that peace and certainty. It says, Father, your peace is safe with me. And it's something like, let me reach to that peace and certainty of the great rays, for nowhere else can peace and certainty be found. And in that stillness and silence, I appeal to them to keep me in peace and to lighten my mind with thee. It's something like that. So it really is talking about a very powerful being of light. I only heard a little bit of Glorian's description again earlier this morning about seeing some kinds of lights. I had saw a little bit of light without my physical eyes. And says that's just a tiny remembrance of this huge being of light that's infinite, that we're really literally, like you could say, almost cells within it, not these cells of these dark garments. It said, in course, it also says these are garments of guilt that the ego has fashioned, and we really think we're wearing them. And says it's so dense, it's still light, but it's so scattered. That's why it's chaotic. And that's why it seems to change. And just the thing that doesn't change is like there's an eternal, unchanging awareness, let's say, with us. He said that's the key. That's what doesn't change. And there has to be that awareness, I would say, even before we think we want to leave this realm, so we don't get recycled and into another experience we don't need. And it was very, very, again, specific about that this being of light. One of it says, tell me what, there's one of the, I think it's 139 or 140, says at the end, speak to me, Father, about what salvation is. I do not know. And then it says, be quiet even if you don't receive anything, because you are speaking to the infinite creator of infinity that has already got this thing all solved. And that just, when I remember that, I just get into a place of such awe. And it did say that when we're in the face of our creator, awe is absolutely, it just will be, respect and awe will just be there. But among equals, it's a certain respect, even in, these forums. So I think with this class is a good way to sort of practice that on a certain level. But I see when I get there, the course is taking it, to an even deeper level. But every training ground is going to be helpful. So with that, I'll just say amen.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Elizabeth. I appreciate all of that. I had to book out just a moment while my brother-in-law called me to tell me that my sister is going again for surgery tomorrow morning. So she's been having a pretty rough time. So let's keep her in our hearts and minds as well. And so I see Brooklyn has her hand up, and then Michaela. Go ahead, Brooklyn.
Karen had her hands up.
Who had their hand up? Okay.
Karen had her hands up
Oh, Karen. Okay.
before
Oh,
me.
no, I'm good. I put my hand down, but thank you, honey. Go ahead.
Well, I wrote a poem today and I couldn't print it out because something's wrong with my printer. But I love the way, remember I said I was at PT and I told my, therapist that our bodies are assignments, and she was impressed by that. Well, she's Hindu, so she probably knows that too. So I wrote a little poem if I, could read it. Trust the game, watch evolution. as we merge as each other, our bodies' assignments tuned to home, our love the answer to any question, trust aligned with any view, as vision pierces all. Like Elizabeth was saying, the light, it pierces all. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Brooklyn. That's beautiful. That was beautiful. Thank you. Let's see, who else had their hand up? Someone else I thought had their hand up.
I do. It's
Oh,
okay.
okay, you. Okay, go ahead, Michaela.
Uh, that was beautiful, Brooklyn. I just wanted to say this quote, Elizabeth, for what you were talking about in the Great Raise. It's from Krishnamurti, and it's from his talk in London on June 19th, 1962. A silence that is brought about through control, through discipline, is the silence of death and decay. But there is a silence that comes into being naturally, effortlessly, without your being even conscious of it. When there is a tension in which there is no experiencer, no observer, no thinker, when that silence has come into being, which is innocence, without being involved, without asking, without seeking, the unknowable, the unknown may come. J. Krishnamurti, London, June 19th, 1962. Thank you.
Thank you, Michaela. That was really beautiful. And yeah, that's it. Just step back. Oh my gosh, so beautiful. Thank you, thank you. Let's see. We have about 6 more minutes. Um, I'm just gonna kind of finish up this little story that Marshall's telling here. So he's talking about he met with a group of Israelis and Palestinians, and he asked them what they need, and right away they said, "You people are acting like a bunch of Nazis." And then the other person said, "That was totally insensitive thing for you to say," and which was, pretty funny. And so Marshall says, here were people who had come together to build trust and harmony, but only after one interchange, matters were worse than before they began. This happens when people are used to analyzing and blaming one another rather than clearly expressing what they need. In this case, the woman could have responded to the Mukhtar in terms of her own needs and requests by saying, for example, I am needing more respect in our dialogue. Instead of telling us how you think we are acting, would you tell us what we are doing that you find disturbing? See, so right there, we've brought it to a place where you can actually have a discussion, because otherwise I can talk to you till the cows come home about what your opinion of me is, and that is not going to solve our problems. It's just going to make us angrier. So get out of the opinions and get into what can we do to meet the needs that are here. So Marshall says it has been my experience over and over again that from the moment people begin talking about what they need rather than what's wrong with one another, the possibility of finding ways to meet everybody's needs is greatly increased. The following are some of the basic human needs we all share. And so these are the things that, as humans, we all share. Autonomy, to choose one's dreams, goals, and values, to choose one's plan for fulfilling one's dreams, goals, and values. Celebration, we all need to celebrate the creation of life and dreams fulfilled, or to celebrate losses, loved ones, dreams, etc. Mourning. Integrity, we all need authenticity. We all need creativity. We all need meaning. We all need self-worth. Interdependence, this is a big one. Acceptance, we need appreciation. We need closeness. We need community. We need consideration. Contribution to the enrichment of life, to exercise one's power by giving that which contributes to life. We need emotional safety. We need empathy. We need honesty, the empowering honesty that enables us to learn from our limitations, not the honesty that says, honestly, I think you look terrible in that dress. That's not the kind of honesty he's talking about. Love, we all need reassurance, respect, support, trust, understanding, warmth. Play, we all need to play. We all need fun. We all need laughter. Spiritual communion, we need beauty, harmony, inspiration, order, and peace. Physical nurturance, we need air, food, movement, exercise, protection from life-threatening forms of life, whatever that may be. We all need rest. We all need sexual expression. We all need shelter. We all need touch. We all need water, the physical things that we all need. And so those needs are the ones that we're really talking about. Of course, we all need to remember the truth of who we are. That is a no-brainer. But but in the meantime, I sure need a glass of water, or I sure need some sleep, or I sure need a hug. I sure need to feel close to my family. So many things that I need. And so, okay, and so Bob's saying that tomorrow evening will be fun. We got an essay that matches today's theme. Oh, I'm excited about that. And we'll be here tomorrow at 4:30 Pacific, 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific. Yeah, Karen says, I need coffee in the morning. And Elizabeth saying, joy characterizes peace, and peace as well as light is God's will. God's will is um, re, re, reactions, joy created in peace. So, yeah, we all need love. We all need somebody to lean on. All right, you guys, I love you all so much.
Night,
And
everybody.
look forward to seeing you. Now, tomorrow morning, Sharon Pauling will not be here because she's not feeling well. Rico has his hand up. Yeah, go ahead, Rico.
Good evening, family and friends. Thanks for allowing me to be here with you. I send your love and life from my heart to yours. I just wanted to thank each and every one of you guys. I had the best seat in the house tonight. The shares were like really heart throbbing. And I just wanted to take a minute just to thank and acknowledge all the people that shared and all the people that are here. It was absolutely gorgeous. Thank you. I don't need dinner. I had delicious food already, spiritual food.
Exactly. Because we all need it. I mean, that's what we all need. So that's why we join together. All right, you guys, I love you all.
Good night,
And
Mwah.
everybody. Love you.
let's see. Oh, okay. All right.
Bye
See you
now.
all later. Bye-bye.
What's up, Big Mike? Good to see you, man.
Big hugs.
Hi, everybody. Good to see you too, Rico. Everybody, thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Mike. Good to see you again in the evening. I love it.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank
Good
you,
night,
Ed. I love you,
everybody.
brother.
Brother Edward, have a beautiful evening.
Yeah,
I'll be on at 6
thanks,
Pacific.
everybody.
Yeah, so he'll be back in if y'all want to come and join with him at 6 Pacific, which is 9 Eastern. All right, you guys, love you all.
See
Bye-bye.
Karen, tell her I still love her.
Okay, she's right here.